Good morning to everyone. I'm delighted to be here at the opening batsman where the pitch is very bouncy and grassy and the bowlers are ready with a new ball. I have a great job to do for the next 15 minutes, aligning with the theme of this TEDx event, thriving where knowledge meets the unknown. Let me place before you my story in one slide where everyone's life there will be twists and turns and you need to take it the way it comes, but you have a power steering with you. My first word of certainty, I grew through the personal growth at the edge. Initially, after plus 2, I just wanted to badly be an engineer. Joined an engineering college, went there for 2 months. Then suddenly destiny took me and pushed me to be a medical student. That was the first turn I crossed the edge of certainty to be something else. The second journey was I was waiting near the counseling room for my PG admission. I could have selected any subject and any college. I was all through impressed by my favorite pediatrics teacher, Professor Dr. Nirmala Kesari, who was a renowned pediatrician in the world. She made me to write 2 papers as an intern, even 1 month posting. But somehow when I sat in front of the counselors, I said, I want to be an adult physician. I took general medicine. That is another crossing over the edge of certainty. The third was I joined a government health service. Fondly want to serve the population. As an assistant surgeon, I joined the health service. Worked for 2 years, then the call came from this beautiful medical college, JSS Medical College, to come here to be a teacher. Then Principal Dr. T.B. Basavanagowdappa invited me, forced me to evolve as a good teacher. That is my third twist in life. And since then, the journey has been always exciting and guided by the leaders like Professor B. Suresh and our blessings from Swamiji. I could grow and serve for 38 years in this institution, developed to head the institution as a dean for 15 years and took charge in the last November as Vice Chancellor. This only tells us, going beyond the boundary, the life experience, destiny takes you where you should go. But remember, the power steering is with you. You have to drive it the way you want it. And that is the essence of my presentation. Friends, from here onwards, I'll quickly take you through an exciting, threatening journey that we had experienced, which takes you the clarity meets curiosity. You all know about the meaning of this, which our Pro-Chancellor has clearly expressed. And I'll take you now onwards, a real life story of the world which threatened the entire mankind. You all know what it is. Okay? The event aptly tells us that progress is born not from the having all the answers, but for daringness to ask a right question. This event created a lot of such opportunities to every one of us in this world. Keep on asking questions, because we didn't know many things about that event, so we got better answers when we asked a better question. Having said that, this is the one which happened. 2019, the most devastating pandemic struck the world, threatened the mankind. There was anxiety, fear, frustration, helplessness, and everybody thought the world is going to be wiped off in a few months. And that was there written on the face for everybody. And there was a very, very fear among the people to move around and walk around and talk to each other, and looking at each other was a difficulty. Frightened and very, very fearful public across the globe. The journey of this event started way back in November 2019, and the event was hidden by the Chinese till 30th of December 2019, when the Wuhan Municipal Health Commission announced there are some suspicious, serious, similar looking problem which is not getting answered. And there is a question what it is. And then the next day, that is the last day of the year 2019, the government of China reported a cluster of cases of pneumonia of unknown origin. And they saw a lot of people dying with few days fever and dying suddenly. And that message went to the world, and what happened afterwards? The whole world was gripped and frightened by this very, very dreaded pandemic. The journey of this virus, the source was from China. It took several routes and spread through aerial route to every part of the world. In the very first wave, it traveled through and affected 215 countries. We at India were relaxing when the COVID-19 struck in the last day of the year. First 3 months of the year, we were wondering, this virus is not going to tolerate this tropical country's temperature, we may not get affected. We didn't ban the flights from other parts of the world. But what happened was that we were struck in the month of March 2020. What happened? The impact, everybody on this earth got feared, frightened that they are not going to live tomorrow. And there were a lot of mental stress. And there were loneliness, isolation affected several individuals. The emotional burnout occurred at family, at hospitals, everywhere. And the doctors went on emotionally getting burnt out. A lot of them were forced to go through the intense emotional stress and strain for having to work, risking their lives, as well as risking to carry this virus home, giving to the others at their family. Those kind of things happened, and it put a lot of mental stress on every healthcare professional. And for the first time in the millennium, the temples got closed, the churches got closed, the mosques got closed, institutions, market, theaters, there was nothing. It was something like the whole humanity in the world were locked down at their home. And in March 2020, the Janata curfew was imposed in India. We were made to be housebound, not to wander around anywhere, and that gave us challenges to travel through an unknown territory. What should we do? We kept on asking questions. It was because it was an unknown virus and very, very unpredictable behavior of clinical expression. At one pole, some people just had it positive but behaved like a simple common cold and a viral flu. But other pole, just 24 hours before he had fever, he comes to ICCU, low saturation, lungs are flooded with COVID pneumonia, he dies the next day. Such several thousands of people started dying across the globe. That is what made a challenging situation to the entire healthcare industry in the world. So this is a profile of single case. A man who had 48 hours back a fever, walked in, his SpO2 saturation was 60%, CRP was 25, tachypneic, hypotension, escalated blood sugar. Look at the lungs flooded with COVID pneumonia. He dies the next day. This made everybody get feared. They were afraid, and the mobile apps were created to track an individual who is affected. Okay? That threatening things made entire health researchers and healthcare providers something like this. Because we didn't know anything about this virus, we didn't know anything how it behaves, we didn't know what is the treatment. So it was something like this illustration. The healthcare system in the entire world was put into a greatest challenge. World was equalized. You all know the first countries to be affected was developed countries, till it came to developing countries. Then it affected underdeveloped countries. Nobody was spared. The COVID made the world equalized, right? But India somehow did better. You all know about it, with the leadership decisions by the entire team, and we could give vaccine to other countries who are not capable of affording it. JSS Hospital did much better. There were guidelines created every day, and we went on to have such kind of guidelines created. This hospital did wonderful job. Why we did wonderful job? Because we had a team which could ask a right question. We had a regular meetings. We had a critical thinking sessions every day almost. Right questions were asked. Selection of the appropriate team, assignment and delegation of the work, and commitment came from the healthcare workers, whom we are thankful to, and strong support came from management and blessings came from Swamiji. With that, we could establish all these things. We established flu clinic, we established a first private lab to do testing and confirmation of diagnosis, we increased the oxygen beds, and we increased the oxygen storage capacity, we followed the critical support to the government, and we created the largest COVID servicing area in this hospital. And beyond this, everybody, including healthcare providers, were mentally stressed. They were given a very, very adequate support by Department of Psychiatry and Psychology, both physical mode and online mode. That's how we could train everybody, and security was trained first how to screen the people who are entered into the hospital. We created a flu clinic, we created a general ward for a milder disease, and ICU care for a critically ill individual, and CM inaugurated this COVID lab, which tested for the government lab, because government lab was overloaded. We were not able to get the results even after 7 days of sampling. By that time, either patient is dead or not there with the support. We created all these facilities, fantastic facilities for the entire public, and our COVID warriors, healthcare workers, the residents, the junior doctors, the senior professors, everybody walked in to help the humanity. See a fellow who is about to die is brought back with some efforts, though there were challenges. And many hospitals got closed. JSS Hospital, uninterrupted emergency service, be it a surgery or a COVID care, we did. The entire world thought the only health challenge in this world is COVID. There was no respect given to any other illness. Almost every hospital, they were refusing to admit any patients other than. So this hospital, with a provision for a better hope for all the COVID suffering mankind. How? We tested more than 1 lakh COVID tests. We took care of 15,000 plus patients in the first wave, and with all the extended facility, we could give a better life, better hope, with a lower mortality than global average. I am thankful to all my colleagues who worked and made it happen. Everywhere in the world, there was a shortcoming for masks, PPE kits, oxygen supply was shortcoming. There was an incident in the neighboring district hospital. When one night's oxygen disruption, we lost 32 patients. That was the glaring issue. Blood sampling was a problem. Who has to sample it? COVID testing lab was overloaded, and radiological investigation shifting to the X-ray, CT or cardiological evaluation is a problem. This was the biggest problem. Trying to treat a disease about which you don't know about what medicine is going to work. Everything goes on a trial and error basis, based on some degree of hopes of hypothesis. Of course, oxygen and ventilator support was a requirement because the lung was badly getting affected in many. But all these HCQS, an Indian molecule, we all thought is going to be wonderfully working in preventing as well as treating. But what happened? It failed to show the benefit. Then we have doxycycline, steroids, antiviral medications, and ivermectin, then remdesivir. This molecule thought it started working, and suddenly the whole world started crying for this. Manufacturers failed to supply the demand matching. And this was the true story. Beyond this, we have people claiming that my herb will cure your COVID. And alternate pathway providers came with the hilarious statements, but nothing worked. What worked is the way we handled and provided service to give sympathy, empathy, and take care of their support system. This is what happened. While trying to diagnose, and everywhere in the world, thousands and thousands and millions of patients were affected, and every hospital was flooded, and there were incidences even in a developing country. The hospital, there were patients treated on the floor beds. Oxygen supply was very, very scarce, and then we came forward to establish extra oxygen storage capacity, new oxygen generation tanks and machines, which was inaugurated by our Chief Minister. That's how the whole life in the world, the humanity was made to accept the new normal, keeping the distance, sanitizing our hand, wearing the mask in public, and following the cough etiquette, and all this became, and we appreciate the COVID made man to be more disciplined than what he was. And all this happened because of the efforts by in all angles. There was a ray of hope in everybody that we will conquer this. And learning never stops in JSSHR. That was a slogan with which we worked. We never saw any student getting delayed of his term postponement or examination. The online teaching occurred. As soon as they came back, we took care of their academics. This is the thing which we need to appreciate. The COVID warriors worked with hope in adversity. We created all these facilities, and these are our COVID warriors. They worked tirelessly in spite of emotional stress and worked day and night, and they were also anxious. They were feeling guilty that I cannot help this fellow with available facility and treatment options. And every individuals in the hospital were taken care, and this is the result. We had 627 of our healthcare workers getting affected. We lost one doctor and two support staff. They sacrificed their life like in soldiers in the war. And we are thankful to all those healthcare warriors. In response to the command given by Prime Minister of India in the middle of COVID second wave, he gave a command to everybody in the country should clap and ring the bell and appreciate the services given. Our Holiness led the movement. The media helped us through our communication to the system, and when we passed the edge of certainty to uncertainty, the innovation creeps in. So we were happy to get awarded the Mission COVID Suraksha grant by BIRAC. A 2 crores grant was released. I was a PI, and we were one of the only 6 centers in the country to get that. We did wonderful work, 200 publications related to COVID. Compendium was created to see that it becomes a reference guide for the future pandemic, and we had nearly 24 clinical research and trials on vaccines and drugs. And this was the innovation that came in. When there is a need, innovation creeps in. Wheelchair, with the ICU on the wheels, could be taken to any remote village. A very, very frugal ventilator, just costing 2,000 rupees. And slowly COVID wave 2 came, wave 3, we were confident that we can do something better than what happened. Something else happened at home also. We had more family time also. And lastly, the key takeaway from my presentation is we learned from COVID pandemic to explore for the unknown, embrace what has come, and evolve for the future benefits. ask the right question to get a right answer. That's what we did. We could get some answers. Destiny will take you, again, I reiterate this statement. It will take you where you have to go, but power steering is with you. Certainty has boundary. Innovation comes beyond the edge, and contentedness is good, but innovation is necessary. That's why our Pro-Chancellor was telling that if you don't have questions or puzzles, life is not very enjoyable. With that, lastly, again our Prime Minister gave a message to the country requesting everyone to light the lamp to express our reverence to the noble people of healthcare workers who served, risking their lives. With that, I end my talk, and this tree blossomed only in COVID lockdown time so beautifully. It never blossomed again like this. That is because of the less atmospheric pollution. Thank you all for this opportunity.